You have one new voicemail.
Hi! So you would be so proud of me. I'm hosting Thanksgiving for my friends, and I was stressed because I really wanted it to feel just like Michigan. But then I found the same stuffing mix that you use on Instacart. And I ordered instant gravy, canned cranberry, what else? Oh, I got everyone a little butter sculpture shaped like a turkey. All right, I should probably get cooking, but I miss you today. Happy Thanksgiving, Mom. Oh, and you should download Instacart. It's way easier than sending Dad to the store.
Download Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
What's up, Cuzzy Wuzzies? You're listening to the Bay Ridge Boys, History Hyenas. Bad. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the History Hyenas. I'm Chris Stefano, a.k.a. Chrissy Cauliflower Tits. With me, as always, Giannis Pappas, a.k.a. Special Needs Stamos. And now we have the creator of the wildly popular documentary on Netflix called The Game Changers, which changed my life. You guys have heard me talk about it a lot. It's Mr. James Wilks, a.k.a. James Wilks Booth.
It was John, right? I think. See, I was just telling you, I don't know much about history, but I do remember it was John, and I think he spelt Wilks with an E. Mine's W-I-L-K.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, because he's gay, you're not.
Yeah.
Or maybe you are. If you listen.
Now, here's the difference between the two of them. That guy had to use a gun to kill Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
This guy can kill you
with his piece.
With his fingers. He's a stone cold killer.
Because make no mistake, he's a stone cold 100% plant-based. Because I'm a plant-based pussy, a PBP. Yeah. But you're a PBC, a plant-based cutie.
Yeah. If I said someone to hurt you bad,
it's this kid.
You would never know. I'd be like, and he's also 100% plant-based.
You know how I knew that? You know how I knew that he was plant-based? Because he's got cauliflower ear.
only one.
Only on one, because the kid's a fighter. And cuz, make no mistake, I'm going to take a little nibble out of your ear, because I'm 100%, I'm 90% plant-based after watching your documentary. And babe, let me tell you, I came in. How hard did I come in here swinging about this documentary? How much I fucking loved it.
Yeah, he reminded me about 3 times. He was like, make sure you watch the documentary.
Seriously.
Before James comes in.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was absolutely unbelievable. I learned a lot. These documentaries keep coming up. It's you can't ignore the fact that like eating less meat is a good thing to start with, right?
Totally. I mean, to me, it's like there's twofold. You get you're eating less meat, which means you're also eating more plants, right? So there's actually a double benefit because we know that meat's not great for you, and we know that plants are good. So double benefit by switching out those calories.
Yeah,
I feel like when I was first of all, it was like it's interesting how like when you just date, my kid's mom's beautiful Puerto Rican woman, and it's interesting how you just. It's just the fights are never over. Because I was like, hey, I think you should watch this documentary, The Game Changers, because she's a vegan. I was like, I think you'll like it. She's like, I told you about that documentary last week. You don't fucking listen to me. This is why you're stupid. And I was just like, I'm sorry. Just give me a zucchini.
Yeah.
Well, the worst with your wife is when you tell her something.
Yeah.
And you don't know that she told you a week ago.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with me, I don't have a wife. I have baby's mama. But you have a wife.
Well, either way, I'm just saying, like, if you tell her, and she's like, I just told you that, and you totally didn't realize that she's been trying to get you to do something or watch something.
Yeah. No.
But vegans also come. A lot of times they come at you like that.
If I call you a vegan, is that like a slur? Because I don't want to be like, hey, you fucking vegan, because I'm telling you to support it.
Yeah.
But are you a vegan, or are you just a PBC, a plant-based cutie?
Yeah.
And what's the diff?
Well, I would say, vegan is going outside of diet first of all. Leather and maybe you don't support buying pets or something like that. You want to rescue them instead.
Sure.
But I don't really like the term vegan that much. And also, plant-based is a bit more all-inclusive.
Right.
You're not saying it's all or something rather than all or nothing. And so I think I'd identify more with being fueled by plants.
You see,
the thing is, okay, go ahead.
I think the great part about his documentary that I loved was the marketing part when he talked about how the meat industry has marketed meat in a certain way, like very manly, and then there's those quick cuts of all the commercials going like, eat like a man, eat man, you want to eat like a man, take this meat sandwich, it's meat with a side of meat, put this dick in your mouth, you're a man.
Yeah.
It's and I think vegans could benefit from like a little bit more marketing, a little bit better because I like the way your documentary was going. Like, hey, look at this athlete. He's a man. Look at this man. Look at James. He's a man.
James is are you kidding me? James is the definition of
man.
man. He's fucking. He's got probably such 32 waist, fucking tight bod, cauliflower ear, cute, nice complexion. Cuz let me make no mistake, and you fucking are a fighter, you will get kissed on the lips.
Here's the deal. He will run through this crew in here.
I'll run through him.
Yeah, here's the deal.
You get cracked open and cleaned out.
He will kill. You ever see that movie with
That's
Denzel?
the thing.
You see that movie with Denzel Washington? What's it called? The Equalizer?
The Equalizer. He'll kill everybody.
He will kill us one by one.
The only difference will be is when he's going to kill me, he'll be covered in cum.
No, I'm pretty gentle, really.
No,
Yeah.
I know, Tom. I'm telling you, you're making me hornier. Stop saying you're gentle. The truth is, since I've been plant-based, I'm telling you, since I've been just fueled by mostly plants and vegetables, I have the courage to walk right out of the closet.
Yeah, we don't know if the thing about Chris. I'll just give you a little backstory. 'Cause
Mike's falling asleep because he just wants to eat meat.
Yeah. Here's the thing. James is looking around confused.
Somebody hit Mike with a tomato.
I'll give you a little backstory on Chris. He's he says that he is romantically into men.
Yeah.
No.
Romantically into
Physically, I fall
into
in
women.
love with men. I have sex with women.
Yeah.
So if that's gay, then put your meat in my mouth.
So that's what that's
Not you, just in general.
So wait, what is it again?
I'm romantically attracted to men. No, sorry.
wow, it's Freudian slips.
No. Because you said that. Right. I said I'm physically attracted to women. Basically, if I have a deep, like Hyenas is my podcast partner, there's been many, many times where we've had a deep, beautiful conversation about history or about something awesome, and then I've just went and had sex with a woman, and the woman's been like, "That was the greatest sex ever." I'm like, "Thanks, Hyenas."
So he said
Wow.
he gets the conversation, gets him going, and then he goes
Right. Exactly.
Interesting.
I think he's just
Game Changers, and I was horny watching Game Changers.
It moved your monkey?
Well, it moved my monkey because the thing is with Game Changers is it's so deep and there's so many powerful people. Arnold Schwarzenegger, that I love. My favorite guy was the weightlifter, the squeak guy, the guy from India. You know what I'm talking about?
He's not from India.
Not from India. He's got an Indian last name. His name.
Patrick Baboumian?
Yeah.
The
Whatever.
Armenian who lives in Germany.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
that
Armenian.
guy. I fucking
Whenever
love
you see
that
an
guy.
IAN, it's Armenian.
And Armenian, and that guy had nice '80s hair, and I liked it.
He had the mutton chops too.
The mutton chops,
that's a
yeah.
cool look,
and that
yeah.
guy was the strongest fucking guy I've ever seen in my life. He had the world record for lifting the most.
He broke the world record eating plants while James was on stage emceeing it.
That's right.
The other thing
For
I
the
like
documentary.
about so the reason why I started watching it is because I went to the doctor and my cholesterol was TTR through the roof. It was like total cholesterol of like 260, and then I went plant based because of the great Tank Sinatra. I went plant based because he told me about the documentary. I watched it, and then I went from 260 to 190 in like 4 or 5 weeks.
Wow.
Which my doctor told me. He was like, I've never seen it that quick without medicine. He says, as a matter of fact, he said, I want to test you again. And I had to go back a week later and get tested again. And it was like 188.
Yeah, it's super common.
Crazy. But then, but then it's like, so I say that, right? This is how fucking people are. I say that on the podcast, whatever. People start hitting me up. Why are you so concerned about cholesterol, bro? Cholesterol is not real. It's what's your glucose? What's your glucose? And it's like glucose is extremely important too.
Yes.
And that also went down. My A1C was like 5.2, which is great.
That's what I think you should do a commercial. Be like, hey, if there's anyone out there who makes a joke and says if you're a vegan or you eat mostly plant-based diet, you're a pussy, you'd be like, you can fight me one by one.
Absolutely.
And we'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll
it's strange, right? Because historically there's this sort of connotation that if you eat plant-based or you're vegan or vegetarian,
way.
you're soft. And I think, probably like 60s, 70s, there was a lot of sort of, long-haired hippies, tree hugging.
Sure.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's probably, there's a lot more people eating vegan, vegetarian. But things are changing now. People are getting like benefits, both health-wise, but also performance, athletic performance, sexual performance. And
Yeah.
so
there was that whole part of the documentary when the kids they had woodies longer at night. They were popping wood. I feel like sometimes I don't. Do you feel like your morning woods have been better since you've been on plants?
I haven't been on plants yet.
Oh, you didn't do it.
It's
Okay.
in the back of my mind always. I'm just one of those casual people who's just trying to eat less meat. That's what I'm
Right.
starting. And then when I watch a documentary like yours, it makes me go like, okay, I got to do more. I got to get better at this because I enjoy plants and I just want to stop eating burgers. I want to stop eating like just steaks. I want to stop eating chicken so much.
You also
I
have a
think
wife who's going to call you a pussy if you stop eating meat.
Well, the way to frame it, I think, mentally is to think of what you're going to include. So I want to include more plant-based burgers, more plant-based pizzas.
Right.
Rather than thinking of it as exclusion, think of it more of like what can I eat, and that's going to push that other stuff out.
Inclusion,
I like that.
diversity.
Yeah, I
that's
like
what
that.
everybody loves.
Our Impossible Burgers and like
The way you say Impossible Burgers, because
Impossible Burger.
I have a side. It really pisses me off the way you say burgers. Just keep your fucking lips back when you say the ER in burgers.
It's an Impossible
Burger. You're from New York City. Stop pronouncing the R's.
burger.
Burger.
Or if you're from England, it's a burger.
I don't believe he's
burger.
even from England.
Burger.
I think he puts on the accent for the documentary.
It makes me sound
Makes
smarter.
it sound smarter. I think that you're from Baltimore.
Well, actually, if I go back to England now, people from England don't actually know where I'm from.
Well, I'm going to fucking
When
tell you where
it-
you're from right now.
I mean, they do now because it's in the film. But
Oh, it
before
is?
that,
I was
yeah.
Glastonbury.
Gloucestershire.
Oh, yeah.
You combine two.
Yeah.
Where are you
Counties or
from in
something.
England?
Well, it's a small town called Melton Mowbray, which is in Leicestershire, which is spelled Leices.
Yes.
Ter
Like
Shire.
Leicester Square.
You break
It's like Leicester.
You break stereotypes for two reasons. One, your diet. Two, that does not sound like the voice of someone who can kill you with their hands.
He could kill you with his hands, no problema.
He sounds
There's
like
another myth, right? Is that all fighters
Yes.
are dumb?
It
I
is
think
another-
No.
I think over 50% of people in the UFC have at least a bachelor's degree.
I would
don't
believe
know.
that. I
know
never
that's true.
thought fighters were dumb.
No, there's
you
a-
have to be so smart to be able to see so many moves ahead of you and be like a tactician with it.
like
But
a
here's
game
what
of
happens
chess.
when you're on plants, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. I apologize, James. Menati is okay with it. I told it because I
fart a lot, right?
I've been eating so many broccoli spears that you would think I'm shoving in my ass, which I may be. But the thing is, I've been so gassy to the point where I went to my GI doctor and I said I have stomach cancer, and then they took a look. And they said, no, actually, you look better than ever. So it's wild how much, just from changing my diet, how many things, like how good my body feels is what I'm trying to get at, that I actually thought I had a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Well,
of,
so how long have you been doing it now?
now it's been like, like 9 weeks.
Oh,
10
okay.
weeks.
So yeah, it does take a time. So the bacteria, you got the microbiome.
Yeah.
There's different types of bacteria, and so you're starting to lose the putrefying bacteria because meat is sort of putrefies in your gut, and you're starting to get more of the fermentation bacteria. So during that transitional phase, if you're suddenly eating a lot more fiber than you were, 90% of Americans are deficient in fiber, then you're going to start. You can have gastrointestinal distress, a bit of bloating or gas. So that's why for most people, it's probably better not to jump in overnight because you go from like 10 or 15 grams of fiber a day to like 40 grams of fiber a day or something. And that can cause a problem, but over time that should totally pass.
Can you eat oatmeal with the is
Yeah,
oatmeal
totally,
good?
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't know, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
but
Well,
I've been
I
eating a
make
lot
it
of
with I make mine with soy milk. So if you're making it with cow's milk, then
I would make it with almond milk. Is almond milk okay?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, there's not much protein in almond milk.
Soy's better.
So I would go soy to get some protein.
Because
in
I remember, the part of the documentary we talked about how we always thought like soy milk. I always thought like, oh, I just have tits and fat
Breast,
nipples
yeah.
from the soy milk, but it's not, because you're saying that
Right.
the soy is the
So
soy.
there's estrogen receptors and there's phytoestrogen in plants, and
Right.
then basically if you're eating phytoestrogens, you actually block those receptors from absorbing. If you're still eating some animal products, you can actually help block some of the animal estrogens, which are identical to human estrogens, from absorbing. So it's actually
Yeah,
beneficial.
we think we're two guys that are mostly more estrogen than normal guys. We've spoken about that, especially Hyenas. I feel like some days his brain is estrogen, some days it's more testosterone.
Yeah, I'm a mixed bag, and so are you.
You're a mixed bag.
We're a couple
he,
mixed bags.
He used to put on his mother's fishnet stockings when he was a kid. So, but that's got nothing to do
It was
with
a
plants. I
formative
just wanted
time.
to say it.
Yeah, it was a formative time.
That
was a
James
little-
isn't a great laugher, so it's just
Well,
no. I get it. No,
I
no.
mean, I
He
wasn't
just
judging.
doesn't-
I know,
just
but he's
don't
got-
judge.
He's got
So
it.
He doesn't know what's going
He
on.
doesn't know what's going on.
I'm never
Tank
quite
should have
sure
told
what
him.
is a joke versus what is.
Yeah,
I know.
wouldn't judge
No,
that,
the
so.
gay stuff was a joke.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, he's-
Oh, I
Yeah,
had no,
'cause my
I had
dad's
no-
still
I mean,
alive.
we think, we don't know. I mean, with him, we don't know. I think he's just an in the closet gay guy waiting for his dad to die.
No, it's just what
To
it is.
come
and
out.
my dad's
Well,
gonna die. That's why I'm not showing him the Game Changers.
No,
Get out
so,
of here.
like I wasn't judging that or the stockings. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
whatever you're into is fine with me.
Yeah, you're pretty.
Look at how Mike's gonna fall asleep. Anytime somebody comes here and starts talking about healthy and plants, he's like, boring anime.
Mike, you could really benefit from this. This is
Mike
the
doesn't care. Yeah,
this is the
ask
question
the
I want to
question,
ask. Yeah,
Giannis.
I want
The
to.
watch is too small.
Yeah, this documentary has spawned some controversy, and I don't truly understand why. That's my opinion, because
People want to hate.
yeah, I mean, the documentary is saying, hey, here are these people who had these health problems. Here's what these athletes are saying. This is what's working. It's better to eat less meat. That's kind of undisputable. So what is the controversy about? from their perspective. What do
yeah,
they
I mean,
say?
people are so tied to their. It's a lot of tied to identity, especially men. You know, they're like think, oh, I'm the hunter. I got to eat meat to be big and strong. And they've really been sucked into this myth. And I think they sort of came in before the film even came out. They're like, oh, it's a vegan film. They're trying to tell us to go vegan and all that shit associated with, you know, veganism and vegetarianism. So I think people were just sort of, you know, like an example I was mentioning before. You know, people are saying, oh, well, they're saying the gladiators were vegan. We never said that. The scientists said predominantly vegetarian. I said fueled mostly by plants. So people just came with this preconception. Now, we did use, all the athletes were completely vegan, and we chose to do that because we didn't want people saying, wow, we were trying to dispel a myth. We're not trying to tell people what to eat. We're trying to dispel some myths, show some facts. And if you put people in that were just mostly plant-based, they'd say, oh, it's the fish they're eating once a week. You know, that's where they're getting their protein from.
Yeah, because I saw one thing, they were like, oh, you know, with the Nate Diaz-Conor McGregor fight, they're like, oh, Nate Diaz was a vegan, he beat Conor McGregor. But it's like, and that's true. And then they're like, oh, but then Conor came back and beat him 2 months later. It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, well, funny, we actually almost wanted to include that in the film, but it wasn't enough space because Conor, after that, cut his meat consumption down.
Right.
And then did better. So that would actually have worked in our favor to say, look, they were pretty close, although he lost. And Conor himself blamed it on eating the more meat, and his energy didn't feel good, battle of energy. And then after that, he cut his meat down, he got better energy. Now, Conor's an amazing fighter, as is Nate. So, yeah, it's not just about diet, right? It's about your skill and your training. But certainly, I think there's really good scientific evidence that it's better for athletic performance.
Well, I love the Titans part when you follow around the Titans, they had their best season
in 15 years.
In 15 years, and that was that. And that food, that
and they had like 14 players.
How great did that food look
vegan,
too?
Yeah.
I mean, that food. There's this place called. You ever go to Champ's Diner in Brooklyn since you've been here? It's like a fully vegan diner, but it's like
I have been there. Yeah.
You sit down there, and it's like a diner like we would go to in Brooklyn
American.
and Bay Ridge, and it's like it's fantastic food.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting to me, to go back to my point about marketing, it's interesting that you did say that about the Gladiators, because I watched it, and that's the point you were making, and I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But then I was going like, oh, that makes sense. It's like, we're only eating the amount of meat we're eating now because it's marketed to us, and it's just like meat upon meat. But back then in Rome, like, the meat was the harder, rarer thing to get, so people, you know, ate more plants because that's what the diet was for most of our history.
There was, but also actually the gladiators, they compared to the general population, and the gladiators were eating a lot more plants even. And now people say, well, it's because the gladiators were slaves and therefore they're eating slave food. Well, even if that was true, right, which it wasn't, because, you know, unlike we're shown in films, the gladiators historically actually often weren't killed at the end of the battle. Mm-hmm. They might like survive 5 or 6 fights. Even if they lost, they might live because they wouldn't always kill them. In the film, we always like to see this, you know, and then the thumb across the throat, you know, and then down, or the thumbs down, and then they'd kill them. That's not always the case. So, I mean, first of all, if you had a stable of fighters that were costing you money and you were trying to put on the best show possible, you'd probably be feeding the best fuel that you could feed them.
Right.
Second of all, even if that wasn't true and they were feeding them the worst, cheapest food, they didn't have amazing nutritional science back then.
Right.
So they would only sort of have sort of anecdote and, you know, sort of outcomes after they fed to see how it went. So even if it was true and they thought they were feeding them the cheapest food, it doesn't mean that it wasn't optimal for athletic performance. You know? So people trying to rebut the film, trying to find whatever holes they can, they create a lot of straw man arguments and then try and tear those down because they really can't attack the science, which is backed by.
You know, it's funny. It's like nobody ever goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, man, you know, you got to cut down on the carrots.
Yeah,
you got to cut down on. You're having too many salads. All right,
cut down on those plants.
What you got to do is have a few more steaks, and we'll get this cholesterol down."
And it's like, listen, I just go by because I know, like, oh, the people debunk. You know, when we started the podcast, oh, it's who cares? I know how I feel. Whether it's placebo or not, it's real. And also, but it's not
placebo.
It's not, dude. When I take poops, they say when you take a poop, it needs to have shape.
Yeah.
S shape. The shape's coming out of my ass. I mean, I have my daughter come over and learn the alphabet in my toilet bowl.
Yeah.
It's fucking. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. And then it's just like, so I feel I don't.
Let me just say, you can't underestimate how confused he was.
No, but
you came right out of the cage.
Well, I'm on.
He's an experienced fighter, and you came out with too much energy.
Well, it's his fault. He's got my brain fueled by plants.
Yeah,
I'm feeling alive. I'm human cocaine. Look at how muscular Tank is.
I know, but
Tank
he's on
Sinatra's
steroids.
He's on steroids and plants.
Yeah, he's got a different. He incorporates steroids into
Yeah,
his plant-based
he puts
diet.
Winstrol into his kale juice.
It's a little different.
What can you do? I'm happy to hear Mike laughing and not coughing.
Yeah. It was.
Somebody give that kid a fucking.
It
kiwi.
really was the first kind of food industry documentary made by like athletes. That's the first time I've seen a documentary talking about the Western diet, the American diet, the food industry, the lobbies of the food industry by guys who are like peak performers. Like you can't underestimate the strongman. He broke the record. Being the strongest, lifting the most
weight ever
weight
carried by a human being over the 10 meters.
Yeah, the heaviest weight carried by a human being over 10 meters. And he's on a plant-based diet.
Right.
You can't break a stereotype more. I mean, that's the polar opposite of the stereotype. So I think that is kind of like a paradigm shift in sort of your perspective, going like, wow, that's possible? There's got to be something to this, that plants can't just make you weak and skinny the way the stereotype is. I mean, you look in shape.
Yeah, I've never been big, right? But even when I was eating tons of meat, I was never big either. I've stayed around like 190, 195, somewhere in there. I feel like if I get over 200, my speed goes down a little bit with striking or coming out of the holster with the handgun or whatever, a little bit slower.
Right.
So I like to stay under 200.
Are you still fighting professionally?
No, I've retired quite a few. I still train military and law enforcement.
But do you feel like physically better, like since you've been on plant?
I've got stronger and my endurance has improved.
How long have you been plant-based? How many years?
The whole time. It's like over 7 years now. Because when the film actually started, it took that long to make the film and then for it to come out. Like editing and come out, it's been like 7
years.
Over a little, I think maybe almost 8, yeah.
7 years, 100% plant-based, not a bite of meat.
So that's the thing. Is like when you say I'm a vegan, so if I go to a restaurant and there's some bread, I don't go, can you go and look at the ingredients and see if there's any milk in this? And you know what I mean? So, I don't, there's...
But definitely no meat.
No meat, no meat, no dairy, no eggs intentionally.
What about
fish.
Supplements? You have to take supplements, right?
I mean, a B12 is the one thing that you've got to take if you're going to be completely plant-based. Yeah, and so there's an amount that you can take once a week, or if you can do it once a day, depending on,
So, like, quickly, like, what, like, if somebody who's like, because like I try to talk to my, like mom about this, and my mom's, she's very religious. She's like, no, I have to drink cow's milk, and I'm like, why would you have to drink cow? What does it have to do? Why would you have to drink a cow specific milk? That's marketing.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's like one of the best marketing campaigns of all time. Got milk. They just chose like a docile animal that they could get milk from that was really productive and large and they tricked everyone into thinking once you wean off of mother's breast milk, whereas evolutionarily there was no need to, like, you wouldn't have lactase, which is the enzyme that breaks down lactose. You wouldn't have even had that. You wouldn't have lactase persistence beyond weaning. And then they just trick people into thinking, an amazing job of marketing.
Yeah.
But
it's the same with the meat.
Yeah, totally. And so what people have done, what the industry has done is they framed the building blocks of diet as bones, you need calcium, and calcium, you need dairy. Muscle, for your muscles, you need protein, and where does protein? It comes from meat. And for your brain, you need omega-3s, and where does omega-3 come? It comes from fish. It's like a brilliant marketing job. And you do need calcium and protein and omega-3s. It's just that you can get them from the source and cut out the middlemen, go straight to the source, and get your calcium from green leafy vegetables, which is where the cows are getting it from. Get your protein from legumes or nuts and seeds, like plants. That's where cows are getting their protein from. And omega-3s, you can go right to the source. You can go to get like flax seeds, which is ALA, or if you're worried about getting like exactly the same EPA and DHA that come in fish oil, you would get those from algae, which is where the fish get theirs from.
You don't even take a fish oil pill. You don't do any of that.
No. I take a B12 and then some, depending on where you live in the world, and this is whether you eat meat or not, taking a vitamin D supplement. Depends how much sun you're getting. Right. And depends on the time of year. And then, it's sort of, for a lot of people, it's probably worth as an insurance policy taking, an EPA DHA supplement, which is like an algae-based oil. Or you could do flaxseed. Just some people don't convert the ALA, especially as you get older, into the long form omega-3s, DHA and EPA.
The marketing component is very interesting too. When part of the film, when they talk about the like McDonald's commercials. Yeah, I always was fascinated by that too. It's like, and the film really hammers it home. Because they show, the cigarette industry and what
a lot of parallels.
They start out with like cigarettes used to use doctors, and those advertisements are hilarious. Like when I go on a night call,
it's all marketing.
I like to smoke a Camel, Shay, because it gives me a boost of energy. Right. And then the McDonald's commercials, it's so true. It's like you got Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Remember Michael Jordan used to do them. It's like you're going like, yeah. you guys don't eat this shit.
No.
Yeah, you have a nutritionist who tells you like, don't eat that.
Yeah, same with the cigarettes. Like, so we found the cigarette advertising, and you see the cigarette hanging out of the athlete's mouth, and then you can find the same picture without the cigarette in the mouth.
Yeah.
So like back in the day, whatever that version of Photoshop was, like cutting it out and pasting it on, they were doing that. Same today. Those athletes, they're typically not eating that food.
The only one who smokes cigarettes is Vlade Divac.
Yeah.
Remember Vlade Divac?
Yeah, Vlade.
Oh, he's a
basketball player.
player. He would actually smoke.
He was European, so like he probably trained with
Europeans
cigarette.
is just
yeah.
something different. What'd you eat for breakfast today?
I had like oatmeal with like berries and bananas and
Nice.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So do you eat avocado every day? It's a good fat.
Not every day. It's healthy fats for sure, but yeah, not every day. But I do, a couple of days a week might eat some.
Yeah.
Do you want to have dinner?
I got another podcast to do after this one, unfortunately. And then now, I've heard, maybe you got.
Well, if we weren't going to
motives.
go out for dinner, where would you take me, and what would we have?
You know what I've been liking recently, and again, I never plug like brands,
was just
like
gonna hit
whatever.
me.
But
He was like, you know what? I thought he was
You
like,
and
you
I.
know what? I've had enough of you. And then I was just going to get a 1-2.
yeah.
But it's good for the
I've been eating this
podcast.
place called Carver recently, which isn't even a vegan place, but they got a bunch of vegan options. It's a bit like Chipotle.
Yes.
Where you can always eat plant-based. They got the sofritas and the beans, but I've been learning this place called Carver,
Yeah,
which is
I know it.
It's
I
like
know it.
It's like a chain, and you just pick your lentils and your greens and your veg and whatever. So it's not, and again, you can eat there with your meat and your friends too.
So what's like the main source of what's got the highest protein in vegetables that
That's
I can
not
eat?
a
So
meat.
per
That's not-
calorie, it's going to be per calorie, you're going to be really high in like broccoli and greens, but that's kind of ridiculous. And that's sort of a stupid thing that vegans will say, oh, well, broccoli's got more protein than meat. Well, that might be true per calorie, but you're going to need like 2 foot square.
Bushels of it.
Yeah. So that's kind of ridiculous. So the best sources really are legumes, so like beans, peas, lentils, and then nuts and seeds or nut butters, peanut butter. And
I've been doing a lot of almond butter. That's better than peanut butter, right?
in many ways, yeah, it's got better. And some people are going to make fun of me now for the peanut butter because we use the peanut butter sandwich in the film, and there's a lot of people talking shit on peanut butter sandwiches because the amount of calories or whatever. We just use that as an example of like an everyday food. We weren't saying like this is the best food for building muscle. We're just saying, hey, here's an example of food that you might already be familiar with.
Right.
Like here's some lentils and here's a peanut butter sandwich, and then people try to hone in on the peanut butter sandwich and like try and tear it apart. But just those types of foods. And then of course, like for some reason, like well, some of these vegan bodybuilders take protein powder. What do you think that the meat eating bodybuilders do? They take protein powder as
Of
well.
course.
Right.
And why isn't there vegan whey protein powder? What?
It wouldn't be whey protein because that's like from the cow. It's,
Whey
it's
you
actually-
can't have.
Yeah, so whey and casein are the
Sorry.
two like proteins in cow's milk. So they separate. They used to be the waste product.
Yeah.
And then they figured out it was pretty anabolic, and so they started selling it, into a powder.
I think milk is way down. Like I think almond milk and like cashew milk, I think that's been successful. I
The
think
plant-based milks has been the most successful sector
Right.
in the plant-based so far. Some of the largest dairies are shutting down. Some of the places, there's some farms that had cows that are shutting down and producing
Right.
almonds for almond milk,
Yeah.
etc. Farmers are even benefiting in many cases,
Right.
switching over.
But soy is the best one in your opinion.
No, I'm not saying best. I'm just saying if you want a decent protein. Now, you can make almond milk or hemp milk yourself and make it high protein. It's just that when they sell it in the store, it's pretty watered down. It does sometimes it's like 1 gram of
I'll try
protein.
soy.
That was my question.
But soy milk's one of the easiest to buy with the protein and some good fats and like less sugar than cow's milk.
Jackfruit. Do you eat a lot of jackfruit?
Some. I mean, it's got a good texture, but it's again not that high in protein.
just
So
wanna know what
I
you
eat
eat.
it occasionally.
Yeah.
I like to. I'm not.
What
a great
about bread?
cook.
Do you eat bread?
No, he just
Yeah,
said
yeah,
if he goes
sure.
to a restaurant, he'll eat
No,
the
but I'm
bread.
saying at home, not at the restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, I eat like whole grain. Not,
a whole wheat
white
bread.
bread. Yeah.
Dude, once you start
Yeah.
eating whole grain tastes better anyway. Once you start eating
think
it, it's
so.
got more flavor anyway than the bleached bread.
Yeah.
Like because
And
my wife's
texture.
huge health nut and like so I'm
She
always
weighs her food.
She weighs her food. She eats the whole grain.
Oh, wow.
So my point was this: like back before when he made fun of me for saying Impossible Burger, but
Yeah, sorry.
Impossible Burger and the Beyond Burger are marketed really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And they're doing really well. Much like almond milk, cashew milk, those are crushing. Are they good for you? And do you think that's like? Do you think that's a good example of what the kind of vegan cause can do? Kind of
Yeah, I
create
mean, I get-
exciting foods that are marketed well.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why people haven't switched in the past is they think that their foods aren't tasty, right? But you can actually just as. In fact, I eat a much wider variety of tasty foods than I used to. I used to do like extra lean chicken and broccoli and brown rice or extra lean turkey. So going back to whether it's healthy or not, is it good for you? When you ask that question, it's always or compared to what, right? So if you're going to go to Carl's Jr. and you're going to have a burger, then I would get the plant-based burger versus the animal-based burger, right? For sure. I think there's a lot of reasons why it's better. It's not just, even if you match the macronutrient ratio and you had just as much saturated fat that they put in from like coconut oil or palm oil or whatever it is, even if you matched all of those, there's still a lot of things in the animal foods, the bacterial endotoxins, you can kill all the bacteria, but the endotoxins cause inflammation. There's these things called AGEs and heterocyclic amines, which are shown to be carcinogenic, cancer causing and inflammatory also in your arteries, which is not good for performance or sex or health. And so I'd stick with the plant-based burger, right? If that was my only choice, or all my buddies would go in there, I felt like a fast food burger, right? Not that I don't eat that stuff that often, but then it's not going to be good compared to a 3-bean chili or a bowl of lentils, or you know what I mean. So
yes, so it's relative, is what you're saying.
The split, the first initial split is plant versus animal, and then within a plant, it's like getting more whole foods and less processed.
So you're saying if you have the option to get an Impossible Burger or a Whopper, get the Impossible Burger. But if you have the option between an Impossible Burger and something that's better,
whole foods,
then go with the whole food.
Yeah, but I mean, like again, it's all or something, not all or nothing. That's both with plants versus animals and like whole foods versus processed foods. Yeah. And you got to meet people where they're at. If you say over here, this plant-based diet over here is not that healthy because they're eating a Beyond Burger once a month and this Impossible Burger once a month and this, plant-based chicken once a month or whatever. Well, what were they eating before?
Right.
So you got to compare individuals to what they were eating before, not this person over here that was eating like, wild caught salmon once a month and all vegetables and whole grains. Like that might be a step down for them if they went to start eating loads of processed junk, right? But this person, we're saying, like, instead of that wild salmon, switch over to like a lentil soup.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Then they're making an improvement. So it's always going to be, it's unfair to compare. Like people say, well, the paleo diet, that's better than, this vegan diet, or most people vegans are eating junk. Well, you got to compare apples for apples, right? You got to go healthiest plant-based diet versus healthiest paleo diet. Then compare those two. You can't compare apples with oranges.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's just about how I feel. Like I've tried other diets and I've just felt the best. I'm telling you, like in the morning when I make an oatmeal and it's got
you've still got a boner.
I've still got a boner. I've still got a. Well, now I'm gonna and now those days are coming in too because I'm going to get a sex change. So it's going to be good to be post-op.
Now I know he's kidding.
And do the
before I was like,
I know you were confused.
That's what you think. Yeah. So you never really know. Okay. I like to do like when I'm having like an oatmeal in the morning, cold soaked oatmeal with the almond butter with the berries. When I like am eating like avocado and all those vegetables. Even in not only is my physical performance better, but even in here, like moving, quick jumps, everything is better. Driving better. I pay attention to more.
You know what's funny? Before we edited the film, obviously we did lots of shooting. We shot like 50 people that didn't even make it into the film, and we didn't know if it would go outside of athletics and firefighters and soldiers. And so we interviewed a bunch of like Brian Greene, one of the world's leading theoretical physicists, Daniel Negreanu, one of the world's top poker players. And Daniel was saying like, his energy at the table, because those poker games will sometimes go through the night. He just felt like much clearer. And he felt he was doing better, and his energy was much more on. So you don't have to be an athlete to be performing better, right? You could be just in the office performing better at work. You could be a parent that's got more energy for the kids. Everyone wants to perform better.
Yeah, and people are always like, because I said that once. Somebody's like, well, it's probably just placebo. It's like, it's not, but even if it is, isn't that that's your reality?
But it's not placebo.
No, I know.
Like I said, nobody's ever gone to the doctor and they were like, you're eating too much fruits and vegetables.
Right.
That'll never happen.
No,
They'll always say fine. You cut down on your meat, cut down on your animal products usually.
Right.
It kind of almost seems like when I was hearing you talk about like all the macronutrients and all the other stuff that is just gibberish to me because I don't know it. It almost feels like a religion in a little bit.
Right.
Like in the sense that not you being a religion. It's like you're enlightened because you know everything. Mm-hmm. You know the science of the food. Like scientists kind of know the science, the reasons why things happen in the natural world.
Right.
So they believe less and less in God because they know more and more about
why the world works,
how it works the way that it works. You kind of seem to know more about how everything works. Whereas someone like me is just going like, meat. I heard meat. I was told meat comes from protein.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what they told me.
And unfortunately, we're sort of influenced a lot by social media, and so it depends on which sort of groups you follow as what information you start believing. I mean, I think the good thing is that all of the recommendations from all of the World Health Organization and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and Canada's food, Canada's food guide, just cut out dairy for the first time ever. So
Really?
dairy's not even a category anymore in Canada.
Wow.
But all of these groups, so they're all shifting towards recommending more and more plants. Like every 5 years, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics used to be the food pyramid, now it's the food plate. But they're always shifting. Despite industry influence and a lot of money coming in to the people on the Dietary Guideline Advisory Committee, they're still shifting over to plant-based despite all the industry pushback.
Was there like a moment in your life where you were like, I'm changing?
No, when I tried it, I was just giving it a go, see how I felt, because I saw a lot of the evidence. I got injured, started researching it.
Right.
Thought, let me give this a try, see how I
Right.
feel. I'd seen some of the athletic performances, which I thought was crazy at the time, because I literally thought you had to eat animal products every meal to be an
Right.
athlete. I remember walking into a restaurant once and the chicken was spelled funny. I'm like, why is the chicken spelled like that? Well, it's not a real chicken. Well, where's the real chicken? No, there's no chicken. What meat do you have? No meat. Okay, what eggs? No, nothing. So it was a plant-based, vegan restaurant, basically. I looked at my buddy who was like 6'5", 275, this Tom, bodybuilding buddy of mine from England, and we looked at each other and just walked out. I wouldn't have had a single meal in a vegan restaurant, no.
Right.
So I just tried it, and then, that's when my endurance and strength improved.
How did the movie come about? So you had this experience, you got injured, you started doing this, so how did this
Started
movie
documenting
happen?
that a little bit.
Yeah,
right.
I bought a used camera for Craigslist and started going on YouTube, learning how to do the 3-point lighting and what
You
wireless
just taught
mic thing.
yourself.
Yeah.
So people are just like that.
Oh, wait a
They're
second.
like innovative guys.
But isn't the way you learn everything these days on YouTube? Like if you
Yeah.
know the dishwasher breaks, you go on YouTube. You need to install a floor, you go on YouTube. You want to make the most viewed documentary of all time, you go on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you shot that yourself and then
No,
shot
so I
it?
shot bits, and then I thought, well, I'll either put this something small up on YouTube, that full circle, learn it, and you put it back on YouTube.
Right.
But or like I'll use some of this footage to get other people interested. And then I met Joseph Pace very early on, he actually was a comedy writer in Hollywood years ago, but he'd been working in the plant-based space. He'd been plant-based for 25 years or at the time. And so we joined up and then decided really to make it like a big documentary. But
You had no experience. You had 2 years before you did this. You would have never thought you would.
Well, that's why
a
it took a long
documentary.
time, right? People are like, well, why did it take so long to come out? It was like, if you start, first of all, I woke up at 2 a.m. thinking, I've got to tell everybody this because I hate being lied to. And I thought, I've really been lied to by the industry. And
Right.
that's trickled down even to what my parents told me when I was a kid. They weren't lying on purpose. But you've seen in the film, the footage with me and my dad, I was a Superman dressed as a Superman as a 5-year-old. He's like, what did you eat today? I'm like, yeah, lamb and eggs and same as lunch. And he's like, yeah, that's what Superman needs to be big and strong. So I have lots of misinformation. I hate being lied to, felt like I had to tell everybody. And the best way to do that was a documentary. And I worked on with Joseph. And it took a long time because when you don't know anyone in the plant-based space or in the medical community or health community, you don't know anyone in film, you don't have any money.
Right.
That takes a while to start putting the money together, convince people to hey, do you want to help support this? It's not easy to get Arnold Schwarzenegger, get James Cameron, those aren't easy things.
We know.
That just takes a while to get those meetings and build and grow. But if you've got a good idea and you're passionate and you put the effort in, and fortunate to have had a good education and be able to articulate and not take too many blows to the head, in all the MMA training.
I was curious. Everyone spoke in it that was featured in it. Did you ask Nate to speak, or is there a reason he didn't get interviewed for that?
We did interview him.
Oh, you did?
We just didn't put it in.
Because he said motherfucker too much?
Yeah, basically.
He's like, yo, man, I'll eat motherfucking plants or whatever. Just
yeah. No, I mean, they were stoned and showed up 8 hours. Actually, showed up 6 hours late the first day, and then so we had to roll it into a second day. And it just we ended up only all of the athletes. Arnold's not fully vegan, right? He's mostly plant-based. He's cut down on meat by 85%. He never really drank dairy anyway. So there's people like him, and then Nate is not 100% vegan either. He sometimes eats a little bit of fish or eggs. He's plant-based. But for the athletes that we interviewed, that we put up, we decided to make them all plant-based.
Right.
So we thought that there was enough of a story in Nate's pre-existing footage.
Right.
It was tough, deciding which athletes that we'd filmed to not put in, or the experts, because it was crazy. And some of the interviews were 4 hours long with one expert, and it was we've got 600 hours of footage. We made it into an 86-minute film.
Has anybody went back, do you think? Any athletes who were plant-based are now they're not?
There's only one, that I know of. And that was Tim Sheaf.
Okay.
And he's saying that he has been on, like, because he's gone like full on carnivore now. you know.
Right.
And
Jesus, he went the way other way.
yeah, and it's crazy because he won like the American the British Ninja Warrior show being plant based and did really well plant based. Then he basically went on. He used to drink his own piss and
Interesting. Is
yeah.
he single?
I think I'm not sure. He's actually a really nice guy, and but he,
Yeah,
he,
it seems
he,
like
he
it.
went. They used to go to parties where they drink other people's piss, and then
Interesting.
like
What's
he,
his
fa-
address?
Why are they doing that?
So he fasted for 35 days, and then afterwards,
What?
yeah, 35 days. Afterwards, he ate plant-based for a few days. Like, yeah, I'm not feeling great. And we try to explain to him, like, there's a sort of rule with fasting. If you do an extended fast, you should probably take twice as long as the fast. If you take 35 days, it's probably going to take 70 days after you start eating again to feel completely normal.
Really?
Yeah, twice as long. And you got to be careful. There's something called refeeding syndrome where you eat too much too quickly. You can actually die from it.
Right.
So
That's
we
when they
tried to
get-
consult for him, and I just didn't really listen. He didn't feel great. And then he ate some salmon, said he had a wet dream.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
And so
Yeah.
it's like okay, now I got to switch and eat completely meat. But I don't quite get the logic. He also thinks the Earth is flat and a few other things that, as historians, you probably think wouldn't agree with him on. But so he's the only one that I know
don't know.
of, and he actually wasn't in the film, the final cut of the film,
he was
before
drinking
he
his own
told
piss?
me. But he did have the courtesy of calling me early on before he released it to the public. And just in case we want to pull him out, but he actually wasn't in the film. So the whole carnivore community says, Tim let them know they were in the film. They had to pull him out. That's actually not true. He wasn't in the film.
Right.
There was a little scene that we tried to put on months and months and months before, but he was never in the cut when he asked us to pull him out.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's a very effective way to put it. Like, you meet people where they're at, and I felt like the documentary did a great job of sort of emphasizing that. Like, hey, this isn't like we're not coming at you in a militant way, because I think that's most of the problem.
Right.
Is the
Totally.
way it's portrayed.
Yeah,
Because when you come at it the right way, it's like it just kind of you can't deny when something makes sense. When someone kind of lifts you. Like Plato's allegory of the cave, you get unchained and you turn around and you're like, you can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unlearn what you've learned. If it's presented to you in the right way, you don't put that block up. You don't go, fuck you,
Yeah, well, I think that's the whole vegan vegetarian approach they've done in the past. Just hasn't worked very well.
No.
Like judgmental, pointing, got to be all or nothing. If you do, you're fucking wearing leather shoes, even though you've given up meat and dairy, and I don't think that's a great approach. Doesn't work very well.
Right.
And then going back to that carnivore thing, people don't realize that, like, let's say you have a nut allergy, right? And you just never quite figured it out. You just don't feel good after you eat nuts, but you never could have associated to the nuts.
Right.
And then you go, I'm going to go carnivore for a month. Well, fuck, what you're doing is an elimination diet. So you're eliminating all plants. So by definition, you've eliminated nuts and you feel better. Well, it doesn't
Right.
mean and it's usually temporary, but you feel better temporarily. Right. And also, like, anytime people lose a lot of weight rapidly, their blood pressure tends to come down and their cholesterol tends to come down. And of course, there's many ways to sort of not overeat, and one of them is called sensory-specific satiety or state-specific satiety. So if you only can eat red meat, you're probably not going to overeat calories, right? Because
Right.
you're fed up of eating red meat.
Right.
And so, people lose weight. You can also have a cocaine habit and lose weight. There's lots
Right.
you can get
Right.
parasites and lose weight, and your cholesterol comes down. Or that doesn't mean that it's healthy long term or optimal for
Or healthy
performance or
for
anything else.
everybody.
Right.
Categorically. What
I
do you
mean,
think?
I don't think any there's no serious scientific experts that think that a carnivore diet is the way to go.
Right.
No plants at all. Like, seriously, just
Not even in those
Right.
instances like where there's some sort of autoimmune deficiency, like
Yeah, I mean, but again, you can get that. There might be a number of foods that you don't do well, but it doesn't mean it has to be all meat.
Right.
Like Joe Rogan just went carnivore for a month and he lost weight. He said he got a lot of diarrhea to start with, but again, that could have been microbiome change. But he could have done the same thing just eating all lentils,
Right.
for example. Like, it doesn't.
Is he going to do that next? You think to sort of?
I don't think all lentils is a great idea either. But
Well, old people do that. I think old people
yeah.
go all
lentils
all
do is
lentils.
because they haven't got
lentils.
their teeth, so they got
Yeah,
it's
they
nice
go.
and-
They sit in diners and they just eat lentil soup. Yeah.
We got to go. We got to wrap it up.
Well, thank you very much, so much, James. The documentary is obviously right. It's
Game
still,
Changers?
It's the Game Changers. It's still on Netflix right
It's on
now.
Netflix, iTunes, Google Play, DVD, Blu-ray, pretty much everywhere.
You can even get it online. I saw it on YouTube. You can get it for like $3 or $4.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
YouTube has like a paid channel. You can
Yeah.
probably find it, ripped for free somewhere if you
Yeah,
don't have Netflix.
Just rip it for free.
Yeah, just rip it for free. Use your girlfriend's password. Watch it on Netflix. The Game Changers. Thank you very much, man.
Thank
Awesome.
you, J.
Thanks for
Dubs.
having me.
No, of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. As always, we're brought to you by Theo's Feta Cheese. Theo's all-natural, non-GMO, gluten-free, and RBST-free, no hormones injected into the cow. This feta cheese is dope. It really, truly is dope. It's milk. It's made from cow's milk, not sheep or goats. You're not going to have any of those weird Greek animals. It's just an American cow. Theo uses probiotics, which is also healthy for your stomach, for your gut lining. Yanni's got to get a colonoscopy, so he needs to start eating Theo's feta cheese. It's high in B vitamins. I'm high in D vitamins and calcium. And it's great for muscle and
the best
bone
part
health.
about it is he finally sent us his check.
He sent us the money, which is thank you, Theo, because we thought you were a slippery Greek, but you're not.
And he's not Greek, he's Italian.
Oh, he's Italian? Well, then you're definitely slippery. But
I've actually tasted the cheese. It's
actually fantastic.
It's actually fantastic.
And it helps you get jacked.
It is really good.
It is really good.
Really good.
Mike almost went into a seizure before, and he just took a bite of Theo's feta cheese, and now he's fucking ripped. Theo's, it's cow milk feta, and it's pasteurized. It's naturally low in fat. Theo himself was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, but the cheese is manufactured in Wisconsin.
They got the best cheese.
They do have the best cheese. It's only available to the public for 2 years. That's all it's been out. It's only for 2 years, and it's already kicking the national brand's ass.
Yeah, and you know that's a Brooklyn kid that wrote that.
Yeah.
We already kicking everybody's ass.
And it's 2,000 supermarkets in New York City and throughout the Northeast. You can buy Theo's feta cheese at your local Key Food. Shout out. Gristides, Big Y, King Colin, Food Town, Met Foods, D'Agostino's.
It's D'Agostino's.
D'Agostino's, C-Town, my personal favorite, Super Fresh, Food Emporium, Food Universe, Ginta Meat Farm, Food Dynasty, Compare Foods, Pioneer, Crasdale, Bozuto's, CNS, and Porky's. But most important, you can get it at Amazon.com. And even more important, go to TheosFeta.com, TheosFeta.com. Get your cheese.